the age of 3, my mother brought me for the first time to the theater to see a Repertory Philippines production of The Diary of Anne Frank. I remember 2 things very vividly. One, that I was being forced by my dad, who worked for the Marcoses as Vice Mayor of Makati City then, to greet then President Marcos and his wife. 2, my second memory, that I wanted nothing more in the world than to act and be like the people I saw on stage. It wasn't also a coincidence, I think, that it was a play about a young girl finding some humanity in the brutality of the Holocaust. I'm pretty certain my love for theater began there, and so did my appreciation for justice, though at that time I neither had the words nor the wisdom to describe it. 13 years later, when I performed the part of Anne Frank in the same play with the same theater company, Repertory Philippines, I remembered that evening when at 3 years old, I was introduced to theater. At 16, I now thought, if someone so young could articulate something so eloquently and affect those who shared in her story, then so could I. I felt the first weight of responsibility as an artist then, at 16 years old. The gravity of bringing the story of Anne Frank to audiences with clarity and with truth, so that it may be a learning experience from them rather than just an entertaining evening at the theater. When I was 9 years old, my mother enrolled me in a summer theater workshop, and my life completely changed. Though my dad was still abusive at home and controlling every aspect of our lives, I felt great freedom in the theater. I began to act professionally at age 10. By the time I was 18, I not only had done more than 50 productions, I had also become extremely confident and independent-minded. For some years now, I could fight my father head-on and did so frequently, especially when he was being mean to my mother. At around this time, he also became less physically abusive to me, but he continued with the emotional and mental attacks. In some way, I had a feeling he was scared of my strength. I think he knew where that strength might be headed someday. Going off to university was a huge turning point. I wanted desperately to go to the University of the Philippines. I got accepted, and of course my father didn't allow me to go there. He claimed there were many communists and leftists there, and that it was unsafe for me. He was a Marcos man, remember? But I went and enrolled anyway. Since I had been earning from theater since I was 10, I paid for my own schooling, and my father couldn't say anything about it. Life as a theater major at UP was an awakening for me. I did meet many leftists and communists, artists, academics, teachers, writers, farmers, and I began to get politicized. Unbeknownst to my father, I was attending underground meetings at UP, marching in rallies, organizing petitions. It was a crazy time. A student and political activist by day, although very green, and a theater artist at night. Even my life in theater began to get very uncomfortable for me. I couldn't, after 9 years in the theater, reconcile the fact that when so many injustices were happening to Filipinos, while we were still doing musicals on stage that spoke nothing of our society's ills. Like there was nothing happening outside our theater. We were still doing family musicals and comedies on stage when my colleagues, teachers, and friends at school were getting arbitrarily arrested and going to prison for their activism.